Sydell Miller was an entrepreneur. She was an industry trailblazer. She was a passionate collector.
And she was a devoted mother and grandmother. But the one word that comes to mind when you think of Sydell Miller is beauty. Beauty.
Beauty. Beauty.
Beauty.
Beauty.
Beauty.
This fall, Sotheby's is honored to offer a legacy of beauty, the collection of Sydell Miller, ranging from masterpieces of modern and contemporary art to important design, jewelry, and fashion.
Sydell Miller was an incredible beauty entrepreneur, and she was leading companies at a time when there weren't as many beauty entrepreneurs who were women.
Before they talked about breaking glass ceilings, she was one of those women out there. And she started working behind the desk of my father's beauty salon, and she parlayed that into selling things there.
She opened her first fashion boutique, which was her very first venture really as an entrepreneur. Tops and Bottoms was the name of it, and it really was one of the first boutiques in Cleveland to offer designer clothing for women.
With her husband as her partner, Sydell created Ardell, the lash brand, which really changed things for the industry and for the average woman.
Ardell was the first company to bring ready-to-wear individual eyelashes on trays ready to apply.
This is a time when women were really coming into their own about how they felt about themselves in terms of their sexuality, their independence, their place at home, and their place at work. Sydell and Arnold launched Ardell in 1971. Here we are in 2024. I don't know a makeup artist today who doesn't have Ardell lashes in his or her kit.
She later co-founded Matrix Essentials, which became the largest manufacturer of professional hair and beauty products in 1980.
They were very forward-thinking in that they met the customer where she was, and that was the drugstore and the salon. Matrix was one of the first salon brands. It was the idea of this is where you are getting your education and advice about how to style your hair from your hairdresser. This is the person who you would trust the most to sell you products. Products just weren't sold that way before. So they were really innovative, really smart in terms of how they approached their business.
Sydell's approach to collecting was one of a love affair.
Her eye, I think what drew her most was beautiful objects, whether it was a painting, a sculpture, a handbag. I really can see in her collection that she bought what she loved.
The collection has Yves Klein, Franz Klein, Mark Rothko, Alexander Kohler. The works that Miss Miller has been picking are very much about something which is radical.
The collection truly brings together the best examples of artistic innovation in the 20th century. At the heart of the collection is Claude Monet's Nymphéas. This is one of the largest canvases from his Water Lily series.
Monet wanted these pictures to be worlds unto themselves. He wanted them to be places where one would get lost in the same way we get lost looking up at the night sky or staring out into the expanse of the ocean. It's a picture that has a specific light, specific time of day. And that idea that we can accept the transience of sensation without feeling that we have to turn towards something more solid, that for me is a profoundly Zen idea that I think enters into Monet's imagination the way that ideas should enter into artists' imagination, through their eyes as much as through their minds.
What distinguishes her as a collector is the way in which she lived with her collection. She choreographed modern and contemporary art, sculpture, and icons of design across different periods and styles to coexist in perfect harmony. I remember standing in front of Yves Klein's sponge with its velvety blue pigment, an organic material reminiscent of the surface of the moon. I had a clear sight line to Kandinsky's white oval, and the two in dialogue conveyed a strong sensation of the cosmos.
So Yves Klein, relief éponge number 28, one of the most famous relief éponge done by Yves Klein. There's a famous sentence by the philosopher Gaston Bachelard saying, first there's nothing, and then there's something blue. I think Klein is very adamant to start something completely new, and obviously it starts with something blue. Klein is known for IKB, International Klein Blue, so this idea that he's going to create a color and then design a world around that color. It's a very Dada approach, it's very Duchampian. This idea that he's creating something completely new.
Art can make us stop and pause and consider how ridiculous it is, how moving it is, how beautiful it is, how glorious it is. It's not unlike my favorite jazz musicians, my favorite jazz compositions to, somebody that is trying to reach beyond our ideas of beautiful, ideas of convention, safety. There are millions of artists. Some artists leave an impression on you forever, and Kandinsky's one of those artists for me. This particular work in the context of this wider collection really embodies the spirit of creative freedom on a canvas.
The collection of Sydell Miller is above all deeply personal. While she collected masterpieces from many of the greatest artists of the modern era, her acquisitions were not driven by an adherence to one specific movement or medium. The Elephant Table, one of the most impressive and quintessential works by François Xavier, speaks to Sydell's love for sculpture and also gives a glimpse into the whimsical and playful side of her personality. She was very passionate about elephants, both in her collecting pursuits and in her personal philanthropy. And we see this theme beautifully celebrated in this magnificent table.
She loved those pieces and she would not choose a favorite. She always asked people, would you choose a favorite child?
She also falls into a category of great women collectors of our time. How perfect is it that she owned Picasso's painting that is his first depiction of a female artist?
This moment, this 1920s moment, he's at once the great avant-garde painter and the great neoclassical painter. It's a remarkable and surprising moment. There's nothing else like this in all of Picasso's oeuvre. Rather than having the woman simply as object of the gaze, the woman here is also the art maker, is the woman who possesses the gaze. It seems fitting that Sydell Miller chose this powerful work about the female gaze for her own collection.
I think, one of the inspiring stories about American collectors and particularly American woman collectors is how open they have been historically to art and pictures that would otherwise be denigrated. The idea of beauty is one that was extremely controversial, extremely contentious in the 20th century particularly. And there was a line of self-confidently macho art criticism in art history that said, beauty, bah, we don't want beauty. Beauty is prettiness. Beauty is the cosmetic. Beauty is effeminate. And as a response to that, there were great women collectors particularly who said, no, I want pretty pictures. Things that are denigrated as pretty pictures actually are testaments of beauty in a more profound sense. I think this collection is very much a vindication of that idea.
Just as fine art and design coexisted seamlessly in her home, her couture and jewelry collection allowed her to mix and match effortlessly, elevating her style for any occasion.
Throughout her whole life, that word beauty interwove. She was dressed impeccably only because she wanted to.
It wasn't just the hair color, it was the eyelashes, it was the makeup and the lipstick and the clothing and the jewels. So she loved a full set. When she found a design she liked, she bought all 5 pieces. So we have wonderful sets from Angela Cummings for Tiffany & Company, from Bulgari, from David Webb. There's a beautiful set from a small Italian house called Vernier, which makes wonderful contemporary jewels. People sometimes shy away from wearing a full matching set, but boy, she knew how to wear it. Sydell Miller's Graf diamond necklace is absolutely perfect. Now, I've seen many diamond necklaces of this type, but I've never seen one so perfectly balanced with such beautifully cut pear-shaped stones. The scale is exactly right, the length and the size of the stones in comparison to the large 18-karat drop, it's just perfection.
She was a woman who was driven by a sense of purpose, and that purpose extended to her philanthropy.
She lived with a zest for life, and she was always learning and creating new things. She was an inspiration to many women. She lived her life with her core values and ethics.
Her remarkable legacy lives on in her philanthropic endeavors, and in tribute to her commitment to charity, a portion of the auction proceeds will benefit Cleveland Clinic, Women's Comprehensive Health and Research Center, the Cleveland Museum of Art, and the Sydell Miller Elephant Care and Visitor Center at the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo.
Sydell really lived her life by our family's mantra, which was think, believe, dream, and most importantly, dare to do it.